Let me tell you what is dehumanizing. Dehumanizing is allowing homeless people and not doing anything for them, not providing anything except drugs, because this is what the city wants to do, provide needles, right? Leaving people on the streets to fend for themselves as other people, those rich San Francisco folks that are super liberal, walk over them and are disgusted by them. But see, they lived in those that are wealthy live in gated communities. They protect themselves and their families. They just want the perception of being this very accepting societal type of person. We don't have any rules. People can be whatever they want to be. That's such bullshit, because they would not live amongst these homeless people even if you paid them, not even for one night. I'm here in the beautiful city of San Francisco, or what used to be the beautiful city of San Francisco. Some areas are still nice. Yes, they're not few and far between. But I cannot begin to tell you how gut-wrenching it is to see the city that my mother, actually this was my mom's favorite city. She honeymooned here. I'll talk a little bit about that and how much she loved it, and Chinatown, and, the diversity and the beauty of, of the Pacific, and the Golden Gate Bridge and the old buildings, and just the history of the West. The beginning of this great West, right? And all of the things that San Francisco has to offer. And now what we're seeing is a city and a state falling apart. And folks, it is not the only one. You are not going to want to miss this episode. I am here. I am talking to people that are talking to me privately about what is happening in their own community. And I believe that what we are seeing in our major cities like San Francisco, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Chicago, New York, LA, I can go on and on, Houston, Dallas, that it is coming to a town near you. It is coming to your home, to your community, to your children. If you don't wake up and realize that this is all of our problems, you could wake up one morning and find San Francisco at your doorstep. Don't miss this episode. Guys, Sound of Freedom. I don't know if you all have gone out and seen it. I have seen it. It is amazing. My friend Eduardo Verástegui, this movie is changing the world. We see the left right now. They're going after it. They don't want you to see it. They don't want you to see what they've been up to. They don't want you to see the horrors of child trafficking in America and across the world. It was amazing before the right started to expose what was really going on with child trafficking. And I'm talking about conservatives saying, hey, look what's going on at the border. These children are being delivered to you, to our country by pedophiles, being sold, disappearing in our nation. Children are being sold all over the world into modern day slavery. Before we got involved in exposing the facts, they were all about their nonprofits raising money for human trafficking. Now that we're actually showing you the truth about the human trafficking issue, how it has affected, by the way, not only is the United States the biggest purchaser of children, which is absolutely disgusting in my opinion, but Hollywood. We've exposed Hollywood and how they've sexualized children. And look at what's happened to Disney. Disney down 23%, right? In its attendance. Because Americans are starting to see the light. Do you want to know what's really happening? Then you've got to go see Sound of Freedom. If you didn't see it July 4th weekend, please go now. Every year, nearly 2 million children are trafficked around the world. Now there's this movie, Sound of Freedom. It's aimed at raising awareness to this often tragic and unseen horror. Sound of Freedom by Angel Studios, they did The Chosen, is out now. Purchase your tickets online. New theaters are added daily, so check the website for current information. Angel.com/freedom. That is angel.com/freedom. Help spread this message worldwide. Sound of Freedom in theaters now. Get your tickets today to help raise awareness of this issue that often goes unnoticed. Find a theater near you by visiting angel.com/freedom. By supporting Sound of Freedom, you will contribute. Listen to this, and this is all you need to do. To raising awareness. That's it. Raising awareness. Once you do that, You will propel a movement to save millions of children around the world. Be a part of it. It is your calling. Get your tickets today at angel.com/freedom. That's angel.com/freedom. You know, San Francisco wasn't always like this. It wasn't always filthy. You could walk through the streets of San Francisco. I would with my family. We lived in Southern California, but we would come to Northern California frequently. This is where my mother honeymooned. It's what she loved. I have been here so many times in my life, and I have just watched the deterioration of what is once a global. This was a city, and it still is, a city that people from all over the world revered, wanted to emulate. I mean, the beautiful hilly streets, the colorful buildings, the beautiful architecture, the Golden Gate Bridge, for crying out loud. What a marvel, right? It was a city that welcomed everyone. And I really believe that in the beginning, because it is a liberal city, because we saw, this was the beginning of, especially when HIV and AIDS broke out in the 1980s. I could go even further back, and I'm not as familiar with the history of the gay pride movement or the gay movement in San Francisco. I remember Milken. I remember, that my uncle, who was gay, he used to come here frequently. I mean, all of the people that he worked with in the airline industries, a lot of them lived here, but this was the epicenter. And this was also the epicenter of where people, I think, in their hearts, and did it for the right reasons, wanted to be accepting, wanted to say, we don't want you to feel isolated. We don't want you to die alone. We have to stand up for our rights. And a lot of gay people, men, women, came to San Francisco because they felt safe here. And the community, for the most part, welcomed them. And it became the thing, right? It became the thing. San Francisco became kind of known for that. But what I do believe is happening is that we swung the pendulum so far to the left that we lost sight of our morals, our values, our delineating lines, our rules that keep us safe and protect our children. And I'm not talking about the gay pride movement. I'm not talking about any of that. What I am talking about is common sense. Right? When you have a child at home and you set rules and you set boundaries, you do that to protect your child. The same thing with societies. Since the very beginning of city-states in Iraq, and I remember I took this fantastic class with a professor at UCLA, Giorgio Bucalati. It was an archaeology class, and it was the very beginning of the city-state when mankind said, we're going to settle here. We're not going to be nomadic anymore. We're going to grow our crops. We're going to, surround our city with a big fence to protect it. We're going to have a border. We're going to have a border because there's bad guys that are going to want to take our stuff. Common sense. And we are going to have a place where our families can be nurtured and grow and feel safe. When you don't have laws, when you don't have rule of law, your cities are no longer safe. They become the war zones. When you don't have police patrolling the streets, I was talking to a cop here, and I'll tell you why I brought up those ancient cities, those ancient city-states, because they developed rules. They had patrols. They had armies. They had law enforcement, so to speak. It was to protect their families. It was to protect their city. In America, we've lost sight of that. We are not learning even from history. I was talking to a cop here, a retired police officer, who told me that, he spent over 30 years on the police force in San Francisco, still lives here, his family is here, and he just can't believe what he's seeing. He just can't believe it. He said, we were going down the street. I was in the car with him. We're driving down. I'm not going to mention which street because, frankly, I can't remember right now. But I also, I want to keep his privacy as well. But we were driving down one of the streets, and there were men lined up. One of them had a needle in his hand, in his right hand. Another guy was standing there like a zombie, hanging over. just hanging his head down, just drooling all over himself, people sleeping on the streets, defecating on the streets. How is it that one of the most beautiful cities in the world has turned into this? I'm going to go back to your children. When you have rules at home, you have to establish boundaries. And children have to pay the price if they cross those boundaries. They get on restriction. They get their Nintendo taken away. They, have to do more chores. Whatever your rules are, they have to follow the rules. And we don't do it because we want to be mean parents. We don't do it because we hate our children and want them to be miserable because we don't accept them for who they are. We do it because we want them to be safe. Because we want them to have an environment that they love, right? One that makes them feel important. One that says, you know what, I love you so much, I'm not going to let you cross those lines. San Francisco forgot about those lines. They wanted so much to be so accepting, to allow it all, just allow it all, except common sense. That the city is falling apart, that business owners don't even know what to do, because their cities are such a mess and their streets are such a mess that many of them have left San Francisco. I know a couple, actually a gay couple in Texas, that left San Francisco because they could no longer walk on the streets. It wasn't safe. They were worried about getting hit by a hypodermic needle, having someone come after them. The homeless crisis is beyond what I can even explain. But what about also emboldening the gangs? What about a district attorney here that does not prosecute people for crimes? Businesses have fled. Let me read you this one little piece of a story, and I hope I get a chance to talk to him while I'm out here. But he's a deli owner out here in San Francisco. He has a sandwich shop, which is really famous. He was actually on television. He was on Fox News once or twice and did an interview about this. But he was walking his dog down the street near his deli. They're homeless everywhere, right? Fentanyl users all over the place. Fentanyl is all over the streets. And how many times have I talked and preached about fentanyl, about counterfeit pills, and about people using fentanyl here in America on the streets? And now there's croc on the streets, that crocodile, that xylazine drug that is mixed with fentanyl that is causing people to have flesh-eating virus. So we have disease on the streets, pestilence, right? We could talk like old biblical times. We have disease and pestilence, and we're walking over feces, and now it's all out of control. So this deli owner who has this beloved deli, he is walking down the street and sees a man, like he often does, passed out on the sidewalk, but this guy doesn't look like he's breathing. So what happens? He goes down and he feels to hear if the guy's breathing so he can give him a shot of Narcan, because you got to be carrying the Narcan with you, right? Just to revive people from the zombie-like state. No breath, no nothing, can't revive him. The guy is dead, right near his deli, right on the streets. So he's so frustrated, he posts pictures of it, and he starts to show people. He has 17,000 followers on his Twitter when he does this in May. He posts what's going on, and activists got so mad at him in the city for posting the truth that they boycotted him. They wanted people to boycott his store and accused him of dehumanizing the subjects in his photo. Let me tell you what is dehumanizing. Dehumanizing is allowing homeless people and not doing anything for them, not providing anything except drugs, because this is what the city wants to do, provide needles, right? Leaving people on the streets to fend for themselves as other people, those rich San Francisco folks that are super liberal, walk over them and are disgusted by them. But see, they lived in those that are wealthy live in gated communities. They protect themselves and their families. They just want the perception of being this very accepting societal type of person. We don't have any rules. People can be whatever they want to be. That's such bullshit, because they would not live amongst these homeless people even if you paid them, not even for one night. What's dehumanizing is turning a city that was once beautiful and having it become a sewer, a septic system full of disease and pestilence for what? For what? To do what? To pretend like you're just this open-hearted, person that'll accept anybody and everything. What's dehumanizing is seeing, the old lady that I saw today on the sidewalk begging me for a few dollars, half naked in the cold wind of San Francisco because she's been an addict and she's like part of the Walking Dead and she has no food or nothing to cover herself and she has probably mental illness and no one to help her. That's what's dehumanizing. What's dehumanizing is watching children have to walk around the people laying on the sidewalks and their feces because nobody wants to admit to the truth that they were the ones that let this happen. These are the children of San Francisco. These are the children of our country. All these people that we see on the streets were once somebody's kids. What about the people that are alive? What about the people that are living a normal life? They say it was dehumanizing to what? Expose the truth? Expose the facts? Hey, look, sunlight is the best disinfectant. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. And that's what we need to do, folks. This used to be a city, and I'm not going to take away from it. It makes me want to cry. Every time I travel to cities in America, I say to myself, how is this the United States of America? How is it that we care so little about ourselves, that we have let our cities fall apart and our children become the victims of some of the most horrific, nefarious people on this planet? Predators of both narcotics and sexualizing our children, destroying our cities. I mean, there's drugs all over these streets. Drugs everywhere. I'm terrified. I got my leather jacket here. I put on my leather jacket because I have actually had friends that have been hit with hypodermic needles. Yes, in the streets, in areas where drug addiction is like at its most prevalent. Remember when I was in Kensington, for those of you who saw Sean Hannity's show when I was there and I talked about it on my podcast? Remember the people on the streets? That's what's here. It's happening here. It's in Baltimore. It's in Chicago. And I said at the top of this show, it's not going to be too long. We saw what happened in Dayton, Ohio, Franklin County. I mean, I could go on and on and on before it shows up in your town. We have lost over 150,000 people there, plus, minus, add, give or take, to just fentanyl and opioid crisis alone in the United States last year. It is a proxy war against our nation, and we are sleeping at the helm. We are heading for that iceberg, folks, and I don't know how to stop it unless people wake up, talk about it. What this deli owner did was the right thing to do. Tell the truth. Don't let the elephant walk through your house and pretend like it doesn't exist. Remember that commercial from the 70s about alcoholism, where everybody's pretending that there's not an alcoholic in the house? We have a serious crisis in America, folks. The elephant is trampling through everything. We have a bull in a china shop, and we better wake up, or we're going to lose our country. We're going to lose our children. We're going to lose our families. And there is no other place on planet Earth that we will be able to go to. That's why I'm here. And that's why I'm telling this story for you, for anybody who will listen, for Sean's show, for just listen and wake up, okay? Listen and wake up. Folks, Allegiance Gold. Gold and silver allow you to protect what you've worked so hard for. And by the way, give you back the control and privacy that you need. And I've been telling you, diversify, diversify, diversify. And right now, you can get $5,000 of free silver on a qualifying purchase when you tell them that Sara sent you. My friends at Allegiance Gold can help protect your IRA or 401k with physical gold and silver, or have it delivered securely right to your door. Allegiance Gold also has the highest ratings in the industry, 5 stars with TrustLink, AAA rated with the Business Consumer Alliance, and A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. You can't get better than that. Get $5,000 of free silver on a qualifying purchase when you tell them that Sara sent you. So don't wait, call or click today. 877-702-7272. That's 877-702-SARA, or go to protectwithsara.com. We can't control the Biden administration, folks. That's obvious, but we can prepare. 877-702-7272. That's 877-702-SARA, SARA, or go to protectwithsara.com. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today from San Francisco. Look, it's still a beautiful city. I had the most amazing hamburger at Gott's yesterday, right there near the pier. GOTTS, by the way. It was amazing. Thank you so much, Gott's, for that great sandwich that I had there. And you know, there is so much that we can do to help turn this around. Right? To turn this around, what we're seeing, this horrible trajectory that we are on. But we can't leave it up to somebody else to do it. You and I have to do it together, okay? You and I together. I will not be silenced. You will not be silenced. And together we are stronger, right? Let's do that. Let's do it together. Let's save our nation. Let's protect our children. And let's tell all these people running our major cities, you're fired. If you love today's story and you want even more of the Sara Carter Show, make sure you rate this podcast 5 stars and subscribe on your favorite Apple podcast, Spotify, Apple, whatever you listen to. You subscribe, you rate it, and I will keep bringing these stories to you from all over the world and from our own country here, from every city and maybe a city near you. Follow me on Truth at Sara Carter Official, on Twitter at Sara Carter DC, and on Instagram at SCarterDC. God bless you. God bless our great nation. And God bless San Francisco and the great state of Texas.